Welcome back, Shop Rats. Today we're back on the Stitch Challenger, and we're going to be practicing one of the things I preach the loudest, the longest, and the hardest on the channel, besides... No, we're not going to be preaching that. But if you want to find out what it is, then stick around, watch the show intro. I'll see you in about 29.7 seconds. I'm Mike, and this is My Car's Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
I rarely have done this at the beginning of the show because I try different things and I'm trying something new. So I'm going to ask you right now if you would take a second and just hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you receive those notifications. We put out episodes every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday at 7 o'clock in the morning. We often are putting out episodes on the Stitches Challenger through the summer months here. I'm trying to give you at least one episode a week on this, but we have a whole plethora. That's a big word like gymnasium. We have a whole plethora of other cars: 73 Swinger, 74 Swinger, 47 Ford, 26 Oakland, 70 Plymouth Duster, 69 Charger, 68 Pro Street Dart GTS, 88 Pickup, 67 Plymouth Belvedere, and there's just so much more than that. So there's always something going on around here. Plus, we're doing some work on a couple of other vehicles for other people. So there's a lot of stuff you can learn, and I want to make sure that we emphasize this, and then we're going to get into it. So don't go away. There's always something you can learn, and it doesn't have to apply to the specific vehicle that I'm working on. You can take the principles and the things that I share and apply them to what you're doing. You may apply them and say, that's not the way I want to do it. That's fine. But there's always something to learn. All right, so the thing that I started this off with, the little teaser, the whatever the word is that I wanted to share bigger than rock, is simply one bite at a time. And I'm in a one-bite mood. It's the end of the weekend. It's Sunday night. I'm tired. It's been an exhausting weekend. We've had a lot going on. I haven't been able to get nearly as much accomplished in the shop as I was hoping to this weekend. It's just been crazy busy. But two things, as I've always talked about, is working on the projects keeps me generating content. Generating content keeps me working on the project. So I came out here this evening and just said, what's a little bite that I can work that will demonstrate something to you that will make one step forward on this project that you're still going to find informative. So I think I've settled on what that is. I actually spent 12.6 seconds thinking about it, and I was considering doing the jam, but I'm still not 100% on my breathing yet after the incident, and so I'm going to go into something else that hopefully will be less dirty and still something that can show you how you can make some small patches with some stitches and move forward on a project. As we have talked so many times, there are a lot of little pieces and patches and stuff that I need to take time to do. And these are the perfect little things to consider doing on a day like today. Remember, we finished up all of this stuff, and there's still some grinding to do in here, but it's going to be covered with a heavy soundproofing, and most of that won't be visible. There's still some work to do there. I'm not in the mood quite for that, but what I have been thinking about is right here where the seat mount is and what needs to be done here to fix this area up. So we're going to tackle this little bit today and just get this little teeny piece of floor pan fixed up. We'll maybe do some cut and butt. I'm not sure how we're going to fix it yet, but let's tear into that and make a difference in this area. Remember, we've already fabricated all of this floor pan, and we're just waiting for the transmission to arrive so that we can test fit everything and make sure we have clearance for the shift rods before we mount that floor pan on there. As soon as I'm able to start breathing stuff again, we'll get the insides of this frame cleaned up, stuff like that. But today I think I'm up to handling cutting out some patches here and just fixing that up just a little bit. I've taken a piece of 16 gauge, which is something a little normal, not as heavy as I normally use, but this is a fairly robust piece of floor pan here, and I want it extra strong to hold the seat. And I've just sketched out a quick pattern that goes from about here around and kind of up to here to take out all of these. We'll deal with these little spots here in a little different way, but I thought this would be a good spot to put that patch in there and yeah, just go from there. So will I take this out? Probably Yeah, it's loose. It's just a screw holding it in there, but the floor is good under that, so I'm not worried about that. There's no rust. I can feel that from the other side. There's a screw there we'll take out. So we'll probably go ahead and take that out of here before we move forward. All right, so we kind of got a piece kind of roughed in. Now there's some curvature in here that we got to kind of deal with putting in just a little bit. I'm not going to get too carried away, but we can hammer and dolly that in pretty good. Our edge over here lines up nice. Happy with that. So we just literally need to put a line in here that comes back a ways. See if we can figure out how far back it comes. Looks like it ends about right here. So I'm going to carry that line up to the side so I can see. Yeah, that's good. And so we know that our line bend back is there and goes from here. Okay? So we got to think of a unique way to pound, bend, or put that in there. And I got a couple ideas here how we're going to do that. It kind of, well, it just does some stuff. It almost looks like a bead is going to do the job. So I think that's where we're going to start. We're going to roll a bit of a bead in here. It's not going to be perfect, but that gives me a place I can start hammering and dollying. So let's try that first and see if we can get this to snuggle over. I'm just looking for a creative solution to get this to fit in here. And of course, we do know that it does kind of bend a little bit. So let's see what we can do. Not looking for perfection, looking for good enough. So rather than using the bead roller, I think I'm just going to demonstrate it here because that way I can get a little bit more roll control. Got my vise open about where I think I should be, and I just need to get a piece of round stock to lay in here. This is the back side. This is the way it goes in there, and I need to bend this way, so I transferred that onto the back side. And I'm just going to find a way to kind of lay that in there and then take a piece of round stock of some kind and go thunk and pound that in there. So let me see what I can find for a piece of round stock to use as a tool for that. So what I found is a piece of silo hoop from one of the silos off the family farm. And I think that's going to work good. I can lay this down in here like so. Get a big flapping hammer, patow, and we'll see what we can do. Just remembered that Becky has my truck and she has my biggest hammer in the back of the truck, so we'll try this one. Hopefully it's enough. I want to try to do this as much as I can in one blow, and I don't want to put too much out here. I want to put more back here. So I'm going to hit it about there. Try to hold that on there flat so I don't shock the crap out of my hand. Make sure that my round stock is pretty much lined up with the jaw of the vise, and here we go. Not bad. A little more. I'm not disappointed with that. Let's go see what we got. All right, so there's where it goes. And it's actually overbent, which is good because now that's going to give me the opportunity to kind of dolly this out a little bit and dolly this down and get that to snuggle where I want it. So that should be flat back there. And so we've got a little hammer work to do now, but this is good progress. I'm happy with that. We've got that nice little, you can see that ridge there, and we kind of have that there, and it's a little exaggerated, but that's okay. We can snuggle it back in as we flatten it out. I'm not using my body dolly hammers and stuff right now. I'm just using a regular hammer. Just going to try to soften this up a little bit. Let's See how that's flat now? So now I know I'm exaggerated. So rather than hammer that, I'm just going to grab this edge, put it in the vise, like so. See what we get. That's not bad. Could use a little more. I think we'll put it like this. It's all instinctive. Just tap that a little bit. There we go. That's not bad. Okay, so you can see now we're getting kind of that little roll there on the edge of that. It's not perfect yet. We'll tap this out a little bit. But not bad, not bad. Okay, we're getting there. This line is fairly straight, maybe off a little bit, but I'm not worried about that. We're getting there, definitely. It could snuggle down a bit more, so that means it needs to open up a little bit. You can see that we're still high in there. But remember, this whole metal's got to go down when we cut around this, so that's a thing yet, you know. I need to look on the backside and make sure we can cut and butt this. I'm not sure we can, 100%. We're definitely too much metal in here, so we're going to have to trim this back. But this back edge is still a little bowed, but not bad. We could put a little more luke in it and a little less bow, and I think we'll be good. All right, that's better. I straightened this back edge out now. It's good. We're ultimately going to drill a hole in here where that seat mount hole is and put a bolt in there, but I'm not quite where I want to be yet. For one thing, I'm a little wide here, so I want to take some more of this off. And you can see that we are, our lip in here is not quite enough, and so it needs to snuggle down in a bit. This is the stuff I enjoy, is making these little patches. Let's get this nipped off first. That's pretty good. If I wanted to push that down into place, I could pretty easily. But I want to get this marked so I know where that hole is, and I'm comfortable with where that fits. So I'm going to go on the other side with my Milwaukee marker here and just find a hole, and there we go. I think that's it, or is that a rust hole? Too bad there wasn't some way to rotate this car up and make this easier. Like that. There's our hole. Well, there's where our hole goes. Rat cheer. So let's get that drilled in there, and then we can actually bolt this plate here and know exactly where that goes. Okay, so I found my little bread pan full of stuff here. This is great. My buddy Chris left this here when we did the rotisserie mounts and stuff. And I just keep a large collection of drill bits and stuff in there, including my center punch. So we're going to center punch this out. And then get our pilot hole drilled. And then drill a hole in there for the to bolt that down. Maybe we need a battery. Okay, I don't see a drill bit in there that's quite big enough for what I want. I'm probably going to drill it a little smaller than it should be. You can always open it up more in the car. Very good. That'll work. All right, we'll get a bolt and a nut, and then we'll get that squished down in place. Maybe we'll get a big washer. Okay, so we got it in there. Now we can work on dollying this down just a little bit right in here. It's still a little high, but that should be a fairly easy knockdown. And then we can start to get ready to tack weld that in place and begin the cut and butt on this thing. Should be pretty straightforward here, I would think. this rocker lip comes in about this far, so I can't cut and butt this part here. So what I'm going to do is take and go out to about here and just cut this across and try to get it lined up with the edge of this, and then we'll do the cut and butt out here just on this part. So we'll have a nice little edge in here, weld and out and so forth. But I think that's our best option here. I can do a little cut and butt out here so I don't actually have to be too careful out there. But if I come out to here and come back, that'll get away from that lip, get that out of there, and then if any rust under there I can clean up. One thing I wanted to mention is I know a lot of guys are concerned about overlap welding and rust. Remember, overlap welding is fine as long as you can keep it sealed from the elements. I mean, the factory has overlap welds everywhere on these cars. And there's nothing wrong with two pieces of metal being put together as long as they're treated. Although I've seen two pieces of bare metal put together, 20 years later, take them apart, and there's almost no rust in there because they were not in the elements. So the issue is not two pieces of metal being put together. The issue is whether those two pieces of metal are treated and sealed so that the elements don't get in. That's really where the issue is. So don't be afraid of overlap welding thinking things are going to rust, because that's not true. And I've heard other people say that. I know Fitzy talked about that a while ago too, and he demonstrated something that had been together for many, many years and pulled it apart, and there was no rust in it. So it's not so matter of the metal being together as it is what gets in there between the metal. So I've gone around and just traced my patch to give me a good idea, and I'll come inside of here, and I can always come and grind that out. But I'm going to cut along that bottom right there, and then right along in there, and then come out here about 3/4 of an inch and cut across. And as I do always, I screwed up, as I was going to show you, a 1/4 inch, so no big deal. We'll make a little patch piece to go on there. But I had to get that cut out of there, and we're in good shape now on both ends. So we can cut and butt this now. So we'll go ahead and tack weld this in place. Got a little peen to do to get it down in there, but now you see how that snuggles right down in there now? I can push that right down in place, so I'm happy with that. So let's get our welder, start cutting butt, and get her done. This is what we got on the back side now. We can see we got some nice clean lines, making sure that everything we needed to peel away is peeled away, which it is. We're a little thick up in there, but we'll get that down. And so we're going to go ahead on the other side and start put this together, and we should be golden. Remember that our rusty patch is still there. Oh yeah, I need to take that bolt out to get that rusty patch out. I knew I was missing something, so how hot is that? Not bad. Yep. So let's peel our rusty patch out of there. Ow, 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 ow. Nope, it's not hot. Just doesn't take me long to look at a nut. All right. It's one of the things that I want to emphasize about cut and butt is don't get too much welding done, because sometimes you end up welding your patch back in, your piece you're taking out back in, and it can become a little bit of a problem to get it out of there. So sorry, it can become a little bit of a problem to get it out of there. So I'm good here and here. I just got a couple little teeny spots I got to break loose here, and then we'll be able to get that out of there. All right, so we got it peeled out of there with a pry bar. Now there's our old rusty patch. One more spot that it's caught right there. Reposition ourselves here. Sorry I'm shaking around so much. I'm trying to get you a good bird's eye view. Okay, we'll have to do a little dress up there, but that'll be good. Yep. We'll just dress that up a little bit and it'll be fine. But you can see now how our patch is pretty much ready to flush weld. We just got to knock it back down there because this edge up there was stuck between that brace and the new piece of floor. So let's spin the car back down and get her welded up and grind it up. Like that. Got some rust work to do up in here, so I'll finish that up when I get to there. It's a freaking floor pan. I'm not worried about it being perfect, so let's just hit it with some black primer so that it doesn't rust. We'll come back over this another time with something a little bit more industrial strength. There we go. Just like that. We'll let that dry and come back. I'll show you the bottom side also. I've done zero dress up. I'll go over that sometime with a grinder, but there's obviously a lot more work to do. And by the time you shoot that with something like lizard skin, 99% of that is going to be gone, which is why I am not wasting time going through bondoing or fiberglassing and grinding them down better. It's a freaking floor pan. It's fine. It's structurally sound. By the time we hit that with the sound deadener that's going to go on the bottom side and with stuff that's going to go on the top side, it'll be fine. So one little patch, one little bite. As I said, today was the day to practice what I preach. So I had about an hour and a half, slammed that out. There's a few little pinholes to fill here and there, but I wanted to demonstrate how I keep moving forward just by taking a little bite some days. That's all I have. And today was all I had, was this amount of time. And then tomorrow it's back to work and flat out, and I won't get back out here till next weekend. So I want to just really emphasize that. Do something, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour, 40 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. Take a bite, take a bite, take a bite. There's always a bite you can take, even if it was just to take some bolts and throw them in the sandblasting cabinet and get them cleaned up and painted for when you're ready to reassemble. There's always something you can do. And I mean, really, these projects just boil down to a bunch of bites until everything's chewed up. And I can't say that enough. You know, that's how we keep going. That's how I do the channel. I think about what's the bite I can take on this episode? What's the bite I can take on this project? What's the bite? What's the bite? What's the bite? And the thing is, these things don't have to be a bite. Play on words. All right, let's let that dry and we'll come back and look at it, and then we'll have some more. Like I said, not bad. It's a floor pan. Got a few little pinholes I'll take care of, but I'm out of time. Becky just got home. We got some stuff we need to do, so we'll get this done another day when I need to do a bite. But I think that's pretty respectable and good enough. I could make it perfect, but why? It's a floor pan, going to be covered by all kinds of stuff. And the amount of time it would take me to make that perfect isn't worth it when I could be moving forward on another big part of this project. So context, context, context. Context is not just the text you get from your relatives in prison. One small bite for mankind, one more bite for stitches. So that'll do it for this one. We're over on the Face thing. We're over and on the Instagram, /MyCarShop. We're here on the You thing, so subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff. And say hi, Becky.
Hi, Becky.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Wow.